Hello, Janksters, and welcome to another edition of the MagicJank podcast, the show where members of Team MagicJank get together and we chat magical gatherings and the happenings thereof. I don't know which preposition to use there. Regardless, welcome. My name's Graham. I go by Hamhawks42 on the internet, and I'm joined by two lovely gentlemen. First up, we have Astralsflame. Astrals, what up, my dude?
Oh, living the dream. We doing what Teamer does, kind of transitioning maybe away from Smuggler Surprise to Lessons these days to learn a new thing. But nonetheless, we surviving after a terrible rank down on ladder. So it's a relaxing day hanging with you all to raise my spirits.
Sounds good. And, someone who I know is going to be able to help raise those spirits is the one and only CarloMTG. Carlo, what's up, my dude? Hello.
Listen, I don't know about all that. I apparently have joined the dark side of the Izzet crew. So, new standard. Wasn't playing Izzet in the old standard. Have been doing incredibly well with the new Izzet with the new standard. So we'll get into talking about that a little bit.
And meanwhile, I've been over here playing draft this whole time, having taken a little bit of a break from standard. I have a sneaking suspicion today you guys are going to sell me on getting back into it, which I knew it was only a matter of time. I thought I'd have another week or so before I felt the itch again, but there's a non-zero chance that might not be the case. Maybe with the new season reset, I'll dive back in. We'll see. So
couldn't even make it a week.
I did make it a week. Actually, was I playing standard this
Fair.
past Monday? Dang, I might have been. Anyway,
I think you were.
And at one point this weekend, I may or may not have dusted off or tried to build an Insidious Roots pile with Raven Eagle, but it was off stream, so you can't prove anything. All right. So yeah. So I'm curious, as it relates to standard, again, having kind of stepped back for a little bit, I know like the bans hit and then, Avatar dropped, and Avatar, the overall power level seems to be pretty darn solid. So by the sound of it, it's had quite a shakeup in standard, or at least it's shifted things around, definitely more than I had anticipated. So I'm curious. We talked about it a little bit before recording, but on the record, what have you guys been playing? So Astrals, you mentioned Teamer. What's your Teamer build of choice these days?
All right, so right now I got two that I'm kind of working with. It's a Teamer Firebending, Teamer Earthbending kind of brew off. So both do a lessons package because Accumulate Wisdom is stupid. While we can run things like Ill-Time Explosion and like Broadside Barrage to discard our lessons, so we get the 3 in for this Ancestral Visions and draw 3.
I mean, Accumulate Wisdom is one of those where it definitely reads like Accumulate Knowledge, which, I mean, obviously, like, I'm pretty sure is why they named it that way, right. Which is fine and all. But is this kind of like Standard's Treasure Cruise? Where, like, if you meet a certain requirement, it's like an easy way to draw 3. I know the difference between 2 mana and 1 is a thing, but, like, I don't know. It seems to be on that level. Am I off base by saying that?
No, pretty close. Like, we have a couple cost reductors, which is nice. I mean, if you pair this with Gran, this is 1 mana, draw 3 cards. Because getting 3 lessons in your bin, you usually have to run at minimum 16 to hit the requirement of 3 to get it in. So there is like some lesson you have to put in. But there's a lot of buyback we can do between Gran for cost reduction. You can do Toph Metal Bender. Sorry, not the Naya Toph, but the green Toph. Red-green. When it comes in, draw a card, discard a card. If you do, if you discard a card, you bring back an instant or sorcery from the graveyard to your hand. And whenever you cast a spell, you can Earthbend 1. If it was a lesson, it gets an extra +1/+1. So, you get more animated lands to use with Badger Mole. This lets you bring back your Wisdom again. You can also just pair it with a top end of Iroh Grand Lotus. And your lessons are 1 mana flashback during your turn, which I got to pop off with an Iroh. It's disgusting.
I love that.
You pair Iroh with Frostcliff Siege. It's got haste, Firebend 2 right away. The lessons are generic mana, so I can just instantly re-grab like 2 Accumulate Wisdoms from the graveyard, draw 6 cards. It's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
I heard drawing cards is pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
rumor has it. Yeah, if I have the choice between drawing cards and not drawing cards, I definitely would prefer to draw cards. Yeah, nice. That sounds awesome. I also love how Iroh Grand Lotus just combos with the uncommon Iroh. Like Iroh literally combos actually, with himself. Like, because Uncle Iroh has lesson spells cost 1 less, and then Iroh Grand Lotus lets you cast lessons for 1. So, like, yeah. I kind of love that.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if your deck was playing it, Astrals, but like Combustion Technique is a hell of a lesson for 2 mana.
Such a good lesson.
That's the lesson that deals 2 plus the number of lessons you have in your graveyard, instant speed for 2 mana, and then it also exiles the creature, which is incredibly
Gross.
good, given a lot of our creatures do interact with the graveyard nowadays, or they have something that has a death trigger. Yeah, this card is amazing.
I mean, this is just
I,
this is straight up 2 mana exile target creature in that deck, right? I mean, if you're doing it, if
Pretty
you're
much.
set up,
Yep.
yeah.
and like, to be honest, I actually think combustion technique is filling in a role we were kind of missing, because a lot of our like, hey, if something's going to exile, it hits for 2 mana, or you have to do an extra effect to make it hit for 3, and then it costs 2 mana to do that, or it's 2 mana to deal 4 at sorcery speed. This closes the gap on that at instant speed to really bring it out. So this card to me is like one of the best lessons, and like Carlo was saying, and it fills in such a needed slot.
Yeah, and you were talking about accumulated wisdom, and that card just like being so strong. I think it was last night on stream, played against 2 Simic Omniscience decks, and I haven't really seen that in the new standard. And they were taking advantage of accumulated wisdom. As like consult the star charts 5 through 8, right? And just digging to find Kona Omniscience. And the newer version of the Simic deck is, you can play your Infinite Loop with Dragons, but some of them are actually playing the crab from Duskmourn that says when an enchantment enters, you have your opponent mill 2 cards. And then just infinitely cycling the Omniscience that are in play. That's card. Yes.
Yeah, Scrabbling Skull Crab.
That's okay. Okay.
Yep.
And so because you have all of these 2 mana draw card spells, so I'm talking like consult the star charts, the wisdom, Roiling Dragonstorm draws you 2 and discards you a card. You can also like hard cast Omniscience in this deck if you really, really are able to, and continue to do this loop with Marrying River Regents and the Roiling Dragonstorms. So yeah, this card, this deck has been significantly improved by that, which is not something I wanted to hear heading into new standard, because I thought they should ban Omniscience out of standard, period.
Agreed.
So it's interesting to see number one, accumulated wisdom find multiple homes, but I think that just speaks to the power level of some of the uncommons and commons in Avatar: The Last Airbender in terms of constructed playability. Lots of them are, so that's really good to see.
It's
absolutely
not to like sound cliche, but it's almost like the Avatar has brought balance to standard.
Avatar saved the world. Exactly what he's supposed
just
to.
Throwing it out there.
just WotC had to step in a little bit beforehand too and fix the format before Avatar could come in and balance some things. But yes, I agree.
Oh my goodness. Interesting stuff. Very cool. So Carlo, you mentioned that there's an Is It build that you have finally accepted and are playing. What's the story there?
You know what's crazy is you and I sat on this podcast X amount of weeks ago and talked about the deck I've been playing, knowing full well that it was going to exist. Remember when we sat and talked about Tiger Seal? And how excited I was for that card. And this was me, and please, y'all go back and watch the other episode of the podcast where we talked about this card.
Yeah, it was 3-4 weeks ago now, but yeah.
I think I said something to the effect of them needing to ban Prof's Memory because this card is going to go insane with it if they don't. And spoiler alert, hey, they did ban Prof's Memory, but this card is still very good. And I think we talked about it in tandem with Boomerang Basics, just playing a 1 mana blue sorcery that either bounces any non-land permanent of your opponents without giving them a fish into the Flood Maw, or bounce your own thing plus draw a card, and that is what allows you to loop cards like Storm Chaser's Talent, your Fear of Missing Out that you cast. You can even pay 2 mana to warp in a Quantum Riddler, pay a blue, bounce the Riddler to your hand, draw a card. 3/3 Vigilance for 1 blue mana is very strong. It blocks almost everything aggressive and more. and it definitely gets in really good attacks alongside of Frostcliff Siege, which is a card we did not talk about. And I kind of like that it's my favorite card in the deck alongside of Tiger Seal, because most of the time you're naming Teamer on this enchantment, and that's giving all of your creatures +1/+0 trample haste. So your 1 mana 3/3 Tiger Seal is now a 4/3 vigilance trample haste Tiger Seal. That matters for when you draw infinite cards off of like Winter Night Stories and your Quantum Riddler, so you can put them onto the battlefield and attack immediately. It's really good. Honestly, the version I've been playing plays a second copy of Frostcliff Siege in the sideboard, and I bring it in every match. I always want to see it. So yeah, I've been playing a bunch of Is It on the ladder. I think I left off yesterday. My rank was like Mythic 112, and so I have opted to stop playing ranked. Because if you can stay within the top 250 on Arena by the time the season ends, I think you automatically get to play in the qualifier without having to play the like the play-in or something like this. Nice. And I have no idea what that format is going to be. So yeah, we're gonna stay very comfortably up there with some Is It for another day, and hopefully the rank stays.
Yeah, we're recording this on Saturday the 29th, so yeah, like just check in on it tomorrow, and yeah, that sounds like a good plan, because yeah, rank degradation is a thing, but not as bad as when you just lose one poorly timed match. That'd be pretty devastating. So yeah,
you like lose and drop like 300 points or something. Yeah, it's like, come on.
yeah.
When you win, you get 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. When you win, you lose 5.
I think I've had that
algorithms
before.
Work on the back end. Yeah.
Oh, remember, because like ranked always switches, right? So even if you win, someone else may have just won a higher MMR ranked match that pushes them above you, which even though you won, pushes you down.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's flattering, man. Ugh.
It's gnarly. See, my move is to like make Mythic sometimes and never really compete in the numbers. That's my go-to. So yeah, never have to worry about that.
At least until you build Sultai Reanimator, right?
One of these days, I'm gonna dial that in. So yeah, we've been talking about that. So I have been not playing Standard pretty much at all in the last. Well, I haven't. I've played like a game in the last week of Standard, and it was just kind of off stream, just dirtling around. Yeah, so I'm not engaged in the current meta at all. But I do understand that Sultai Reanimator is still very much a thing. You know, Kaveru, aka Superior Spider-Man, which it's still kind of it's still weird to me that we're still just talking about Magic cards and just Spider-Man just comes up now. I'm sorry, I know that's old news, but it's still. Yeah, so Superior Spider-Man is definitely a card that is making a lot of waves and is still very, very powerful and still in the mix. And we were talking about, right now, my go-to archetype, to the point where it was a meaningful percentage of all my standard decks on Arena, is Insidious Roots. I love Insidious Roots and everything related to Insidious Roots. And we do have another year of it. You know, it's not going anywhere until 2027 when the next rotation happens. January 1st, 27. But when that does happen, I'm going to lose it, and that archetype is going to disappear. And so having an idea of what's coming next is going to be important. And this Kaveru Sultai Reanimator shell that we have is definitely a well-supported archetype, and one that I'm probably going to have to tinker with. Although I have to be honest, I kind of like the Bringer of the Last Gift version that is like dialed in for best of one. I kind of hate it. And it's really an embodiment of why I'm taking a break from Standard right now. Is right now there are multiple decks in Standard where by turn 4 it just wins the game, where it either wins on the spot or it like creates a board state that is so overwhelming that you just can't top it. You know, like Ouroboros is very much the second, like those Simic decks where it's just like my stats are just 10 times bigger than yours, and if you don't wipe my board this turn, you're just dead. or you have the Omniscience decks that we were talking about. Yeah, and the Kavero deck is absolutely one of those with Bringer the Last Gift. Because if you're not familiar, Kavero the Mindbitten, it's a 4-drop that like enters as a copy of a thing in a graveyard, and Bringer the Last Gift has been a terrible card in Standard for the last like 2 years. You know, it was in Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and it's been totally unplayable this whole time. And then Kavero shows up and just unlocks it completely. Because when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you get Living Death. Each player sacrifices all their things and then takes the things from the graveyard, puts them onto the battlefield. The way that the stack lines up is kind of weird, but at the end of the day, your live things become dead things, your dead things become live things. It's actually very intuitive in ultimately how it works. And so just the fact that this can now be cast for 4 mana because of this goofy combo is a thing. And it just creates an overwhelming I win on the spot on turn 4. Because like turn 1, like maybe putting on a mana dork, mill a bunch, turn 2, mill a bunch, turn 3, mill some more, turn 4, win the game. And it's one of those where I don't know, it kind of bums me out because I love reanimator strategies. I love them so much, and I'm so glad that it's a thing. I just wish it wasn't a turn 4, I guess I win now kind of situation. Like, I really like the turn 4, I now have this gigantic demon on the field, can you deal with it? See, I enjoy that play pattern very, very much, and that doesn't win games anymore. Of Valgavoth on turn 4, there are so many answers to that. That's just not even a threat anymore. Not like it used to be, you know?
What's crazy is that there are multiple ways that you can do that to win the game on the spot. You know,
Right.
from like Arden, that is in the majority of the builds that give your demons haste. So all of those bringers or whatever are coming in with haste, and then it creates another copy of a creature that probably went to the yard and gives it haste. There's been some versions out there utilizing Terror of the Peaks to win on the spot with Terror of the Peaks triggers to just kill you right away without having to attack. And there have been some builds that have been playing Craterhoof Behemoth as like a 2-of. So that way you get these creatures with haste and pump your team too. So a couple different versions of the deck. Ultimately, they all do the same thing, but in different ways. In fact, I think the most recent Magic Online Challenge winning list, as of this recording, was a Sultai Reanimator deck that took advantage of playing cards like Oblivious Bookworm from Duskmourn as sort of like a Simic fear of missing out, right? In the sense that on the end step, you can draw a card, and then you can ditch a card if you want. And it is a 2/3, so it's the same stats as Fear of Missing Out. Doesn't get you an extra combat step, but doesn't matter. You get to do the thing in terms of draw, discard. And this deck was also utilizing Gran from Avatar, speaking of new cards, because turns out Gran for 1 mana says when it becomes tapped, you draw a card and discard a card. And that's all that this card cares about. Right? Just trying to fill your yard for, you know, putting Bringer there if it's in your hand. You know, you are playing cards like Bitter Triumph in this deck. It's the same thing, right? If your payoffs are in your hand, you have a way to get them to the graveyard. And funny enough, I know we were talking about it a little bit before we hit the record button, but the deck's also playing Emmett Selch from Final Fantasy in the sideboard, and that is certainly a Hamhawks 42 coded card. So, you know, I think this deck is a little up your alley.
Definitely agree.
Yeah. I should probably get over myself and just play it. I really should just jam this, because you're right. This definitely is checking all the boxes. Yeah.
I mean, also think about it too. How often can you say that Arden comes, you have Superior Spider-Man become a copy of Arden, bringing back Gran from the graveyard to swing in for 5, gain you 5 life, and also draw you a card?
I'll tell you a game where that happens. Magic the Gathering.
Sure is.
In Magic the Gathering, you confuse all of the different universes together and do some things.
Yeah, oh my goodness. No, we have Spider-Man, Final Fantasy, and and Avatar all coexisting. Yep. Now, okay, how far are we from a meta Universes Beyond, like a literal deck where every card is Universes Beyond in Standard? How far do you think we are from that?
A year and a half, maybe?
Like, is Star Trek going to put us over the line? Yeah. Or is it just post-rotation? Because none of the UB is going to be rotating,
4
right? So yeah,
Yeah, they're not.
yeah,
And next year is 4 Universes Beyond sets. So depending on the power level, it's not impossible.
cool, not
I
impossible.
mean, save for lands, right? Because shock lands are coming on Lorwyn.
Yep.
So it's not impossible.
More lessons in Strixhaven.
Yeah.
And then whatever Reality Fracture is, which hopefully has something to do with Nicol Bolas. Please, storytellers, bring him back.
Yeah, they freed
Nice.
him. Like they freed him for a reason. Like let's get there.
Right.
I also
That's
love the
right.
fact that Nicol Bolas has been captured and now released in the time since in the time since Emrakul got captured. And there's still not even a hint that Emrakul is coming back. Yeah. I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
very
story?
interesting. I think even on Arena, what was it last week? They did a midweek Magic where you could only play Foundations cards and Avatar cards.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's kind of cool.
you know, I know we've talked about in weeks past in the podcast like similarities between Foundations and Avatar in terms of like product, right? They have the beginner box, they have the jump start, so on and so forth, meant to bring new players into the game. You can play in standard right now, and I know it's been doing well on Magic Online leagues, and I have seen them occasionally on Arena. There was a 5-color allies deck that went 5-0 in some Magic Online leagues recently, and the cards are almost outside of the mana base. They're almost all Avatar: The Last Airbender cards. In fact, there's not
sense.
one creature in the deck that is not from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Every card except the lands in this deck are from Avatar. Even and in the sideboard of the decks that's doing well, the only non-Avatar card that's there is Detect Intrusion is the arena name, or Spidey Sense in
Yeah, the
Spider-Man.
counter triggered ability, right? Yeah,
Trigger
with the
ability,
web.
instant or sorcery
Yeah.
for 2. Yep.
Yeah.
The rest of the
Yeah.
cards are literally allies taking advantage of Katara the Fearless, and doubling your ally triggers. So, like, Great Divide Guide is making your creatures tap for mana. Ang at the Crossroads is being a mini collected company. And you even get to play Wartime Protesters, which is the red ally that gives all your other
haste.
allies haste and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
And the prime removal spell in this deck is Allies at Last, which is an instant spell that has affinity for allies, that lets your creature deal damage to your opponent's creature, essentially for 1 green. It's a matter of time before this deck does actually implement like Doc Arlock for the infinite combo, because it plays Ang Swift Savior and Appa Steadfast Guardian. So I have to imagine that that's coming soon, considering the deck is like Bant based.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only card I think that it actually plays black for is in the sideboard is the May Stormful Striker, which helps you out against like the Izzet deck. And then the Boiling Rock Rioter, which is a black ally that lets you, I think it's when you attack, you may cast an ally spell from amongst cards you exiled with this creature this turn. Yeah. So, yeah, those are the only black cards that are actually in the deck. The rest is pretty much Bant based.
Yeah.
You know, I drafted this deck. I'm very familiar with this deck.
You could draft every single card in this
Yeah,
deck, in fact.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you can do that. It's pretty great. Yeah.
It's kind of exciting when we get to see that, though, when a set actually brings in like an archetype within itself, developing in a meta. Usually that's what we like to see, because I mean, Aether Drift, we were hoping to see vehicles. Tarkir did at least bring some, to an extent, of impact of dragons, not quite dragon decks, but
yeah,
this actually brought in like full on, hey, just play allies. Because what is it? There's the green white ally that's Thalia's lieutenant for allies. Like, that thing's so good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, and it's funny. I think the last time we saw something this strong that's really just like the archetype, it's just a draft archetype converted into standard and it works, was with Bant Poison from Phyrexia All Will Be One.
Right.
Like
Yes.
that was
Yeah, that
absolutely draft archetype deck, and it played very nicely. So this is reminding me very much of that. Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think we've had anything quite since then. Yeah.
I think
Can I
so.
just say real quick? I think this is really nice that we're actually talking about multiple playable decks in the standard format, whereas a month ago we could not.
True.
Yeah.
Which is incredible considering we have, technically the newest RCQ season has started, Regional Championship Qualifier season. Um, I don't think there's a standard one in my area until next weekend, but yeah, it's nice seeing all of these different decks where one deck is not very clearly like 30% of the metagame. Um, and it's kind of putting some of our concerns that we had a couple weeks ago at ease because I was thought for sure they were going to hit something from the Dimir deck when they made the bans and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't. Um, and even though Dimir is a very good deck in terms of the power level of Kaido, Bane of Nightmares, and Enduring Curiosity, there's actually a little bit different of a Dimir deck that has been doing well, both on the ladder and on Magic Online. And it's actually an older Dimir deck that's from like 2 standards ago that sort of has resurged back to life in the form of playing Entity Tracker from Duskmourn. If you remember
Oh,
that card,
yeah.
that's
Oh yeah,
that's your 3 mana
yeah.
2/3 with flash. That when an enchantment enters under your control, you get to draw a card or you unlock a room, but that's irrelevant for this.
Whatever. Yeah.
Um, Turns out when you can balance your own things to your hand, and we already know the power level of like Storm Chaser's talent, but playing cards like Nowhere to Run, which is prime removal in this standard format, Boomerang Basics, being able to rebalance these cards to your hand, and it actually takes advantage of an avatar card called the Legend of Karuk.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that card is sick.
yeah. And so Legend of Karuk is 4 mana, 2 and double blue. It is a saga that on chapters 1 and 2 lets you scry 2 and draw a card, which seems very fair. But then on chapter 3, it flips and it turns into Avatar Karuk. That says whenever you cast a spell, any spell, you make a 1/1 spirit that can't block and can't be blocked, pretty much. There is the text on it that says it water bends 20 to take an extra turn. You're unlikely ever taking an extra turn with this card, even though you generate a bunch of tokens. But turns out when you keep looping Storm Chaser's talent to bounce it and Boomerang Basics, you get a bunch of 1/1s that your opponent can't block. And so they might die in like 2 turns if you set this up properly. So it's actually pretty nice.
I'm here for it. Yeah, actually, Avatar Kuruk
Yeah.
is an awesome card. I played a game of Commander recently where I ruled 0. This is the Commander. Holy nuts, it's awesome. Anyway, check that out on generic Commander coming soon. But yeah, little cross promotion there. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, I love the fact that people are actually using that. I also love the fact that they brought Shadow back, kind of, with these spirits, which makes me happy. Yeah.
Honestly, like a few of the
That's dope.
sagas that we've seen are pretty legit. Like the Legend of Kuruk is really sick. Roku's is really slick as well. That one's very nice. I've really enjoyed that one.
Really, the one that makes a dragon is you're cool with?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Surprise.
It's surprising, I know. But it's like the exile effect is sweet, right? Like that's an immediate look at 3, you get an extra generation of mana, and then it flips. Like it's
Yeah,
dragons aside, it's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. You're not wrong. Yeah, actually, this one kind of reminds me of what was it, Showdown of the Skalds, where it's like 4 exile some cards and then you get extra bonuses after that. Except in this case, you can flip it and it can become a pretty powerful, finisher, like just Dragon Machine. So, yeah. I love the dragon also has firebending, so like it actually can help you pay for more dragons. Like
More dragons.
Just get
if
more
it goes
dragons.
unchecked somehow. Yeah, that's the ultimate win more in standard. But like if you're playing this in Commander, that's the thing that might be relevant. Yeah, fun stuff. Yeah, so it's kind of the Dimir, like I would say Pixie, but that archetype of bouncing things repeatedly. Carla, that you were saying it's interesting that that's back. I'm also just glad to see the Boomerang Basics is as nuts as I thought it was. Because this reads like just a really stinking good card. And we've seen the Pixies and the Fear of Isolation do what it does. And so that in sorcery form, pretty darn good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we probably did something to this effect that we weren't sure if this was going to be as strong as Into the Flood Maul just because of the sorcery speed. But the card works incredibly well alongside of like Duelist of the Mind from
Yeah, that's true.
Karlov Manor. Because if you bounce your opponent's creature, you commit the crime, so you still draw, discard, and grow this creature's power. Um, so even if it's and it's any non-land permanent for 1 blue with no downside, right? So like you could have like, I don't know, Aang's Iceberg, which is a flash speed banishing light, my payoff card, and I pay 1 blue and just bounce the Iceberg back to your hand, get my payoff back, right? Or you play something like, I don't know, Mossborn Hydra in the landfall deck, and you've got it to 16/16. Nice creature. Just like bounce it, draw, discard. If you have Duelist of the Mind, or just bounce it for a blue. I think it speaks to the power of Storm Chaser's talent and how strong that card
Oh,
still
my
is in
goodness.
Standard. But it also makes me glad that they actually banned This Town Ain't Big Enough
Yes,
many,
so
many
much.
months ago, because if they let all of this exist at the same time, we would be
Oh,
having problems.
oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be gnarly. Yeah, I mean, Storm Chaser's Talent is a card that people were calling for a ban on not that long ago, and the fact that it still is out here, yeah, don't forget about it. Yeah, I'm curious. Are there any other cards that people have called for bans in the past that are still floating around that might be worth considering? As far as, you know, maybe, I don't know. Is there anything out there that might be their time to shine?
Yeah, I get the Soul Cauldron on Earthbending because all your lands have +1/+1 counters.
I don't hate that, actually. Yeah. That's the thing. Agatha Soul Cauldron was always like a powerful jank tool, has what it's always been until
Yes.
Vivi showed up. So now it's back to that role, which, all right, neat.
Yeah.
What are you putting under it, though?
I don't know what we're gonna
mean-
stick under it, but you know it's there.
I mean, Draconautics
Hey,
Engineer?
listen.
Loot?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Now everybody is just like prematurely calling for the ban of Badgermole Cub because they realize that, hey, we have the strong 2 mana green mythic.
That's what
You
green
know.
needed, though. Green needed
I know.
it. Green's
Yes,
actually
correct.
good now.
For the record, I am
Well, yeah,
not
we can't have
calling
that.
for any ban of a card that is this strong. This card really hates Fire Magic and Pyroclasm.
Sure does.
Oh, yeah, it does.
So, you know, it's... I don't discount the fact that this allows for absurd turns, but I don't think we should be calling for bans of a 2/2 green mythic creature. But speaking of, this made me think of another pretty Hamhawks 42 coded deck to
Ooh.
try out in Standard.
Okay.
There is a Beifong Bounty Hunters combo deck that exists in
Oh,
Standard
this-
right now, and it is an infinite
Is that the
combo.
sack deck?
Wait, what?
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, that deck
Beifong's
is
Bounty
sick.
Hunters? It's from Avatar The Last Airbender. Imagine another card from that set called an
I know.
infinite combo.
Wild. It's crazy.
It is a 4/4 for 2, a black and a green. Whenever a non-land creature you control dies, you earthbend X, where X is that creature's power. So the infinite combo works as such. You get to play the cool card from Edge of Eternities called Umbral Caller Zealot. That's your free sack outlet that lets you
Yep.
surveil one, right? And you remember them reprinting Bloodghast into Standard? I'm sure
Sure do.
you remember them doing
I'm
this,
familiar.
right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we all know that Bloodghast reanimates when you play lands. So turns
Well, when
out
land enters. Yes, indeed.
you can infinitely sacrifice an earth-bended land to Umbral Caller Zealot, which the earth-bending trigger causes the land to re-enter the battlefield, and you get to keep recycling Bloodghast over and over and over again. And when you sack the Bloodghast, you get to keep earth-bending your lands, right? Because it's going to earthbend for 2 every single time. So you basically can make your lands like really big off of the Beifong Bounty Hunters and kill your opponent. This deck also plays Agatha Soul Cauldron, by the way. So if you really wanted to play some jank, you can take advantage of that.
don't hate
But
that.
between that and Badgermole Cub, I mean, you are making infinite mana in this deck. You know, you get to play cool cards like Ice Till Explorer, Nature's Rhythm, because you're generating a bunch of mana, so you can search up the combo and put it right on the battlefield. Which, you know, Nature's Rhythm is a card that was printed in Tarkir Dragonstorm, and was kind of just waiting for some combos to search up. Notably, that card allows you to win with the Beifeng Bounty Hunters combo and the infinite Appa Aang Doc Orlok combo.
Got 'em
Because you can
both.
search for
Jeez.
any of these. Granted, these are things that you need to have 3 pieces, right? 3 pieces or 4 pieces to
Oh
combo.
yeah.
So I think that they are fair. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just so interesting. So I when I think of this combo, I say it's a Hamhawks 42 coded deck because it involves graveyard shenanigans that is more similar to Insidious Roots than a regular Reanimator deck,
Yeah.
without having to play Insidious Roots. Yeah,
But it could.
it could.
It could.
You could do these things. Yeah,
Just saying.
it
Yeah.
does play. It does play Dredger's Insight, so you're used to playing
Ooh.
that card.
I do love that card. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely have to check that out because that does sound. I know that bounty hunters, you can read this and see like, oh, there is an engine to be had here. So I'm glad that people cracked that. Yeah, that and Bloodcast. It's so simple. That's the thing about earthbending, right? Is like a lot of people see earthbending and think, oh, it's a new creature. It's now a creature I can tap for mana, so it works with Badger Mole, all that jazz. And yeah, that's all fine and good. But the fact that when the creature dies or is exiled, it then returns as the land, the ability to get like weird instant speed landfall triggers, I think is a very real part of earthbending that I think people need to really appreciate because it's not messing around. That's no joke. Yeah. So no, that does sound fun, and the kind of combo that because you have to build an engine to get there, I don't feel bad hitting people with that. It's not a oops, I guess I win on turn 4. It's you got to work for it a little bit, which I'm okay with that. Yeah, you're right. That actually sounds very intriguing.
There's a lot of cool stuff to do with earthbending, right? Because every time the land comes in, it's a retrigger for landfall too. So there is like disgusting things to do with Tifo, with the Chocobo. You can even do a Badger Mole ramp deck into a earthbend a couple lands, tap 3 of the lands, play Dragonback Assault, your lands die, trigger your Dragonback Assault, suddenly you've got 3 4/4s.
Just upgrading all your earthbend creatures into dragons. Actually, that's
a
dope.
deck I'm working on right now.
That's fantastic. All right, I'm here
Imagine designing your standard sets to do this, right? Where the cards actually positively interact with each other and on a somewhat of a healthy basis, right? I think it really speaks to something that they said when they made 2 ban announcements ago. Remember when they banned 7 cards out of standard pre-rotation? And they said they didn't want to hit Omniscience then because they wanted combo to exist in standard, right? So then they went ahead and designed a bunch of different combos that you could do in standard because they want that type of an archetype to be here. So whether it's something cool like the earthbending interaction with Dragonback Assault that you mentioned, Astrals, or Appa and Aang infinitely destroying you with Thunder Junction cards, or the Beifeng Bounty Hunters. Like there's just when there's more than one infinite combo that exists in standard, the first thing I want to say is caution, because I don't think infinite combos should be a thing in standard, because when they were before, you had to actually have emergency bans. These ones might be more healthy because you need 3 to 4 pieces to all line up together, so a little form of interaction helps deal with that. Where you do have the issue that eventually will present itself is the absurdity of ramping your mana as early as you can. And I'm a ramp player. I love ramp. Badger Mole into Ouroboros is really friggin' good. So if that's not broken at this moment, if they print other cards to positively interact with this, we may have issues down the line. Yes, I hear you, YouTube commenters, and please comment below. You can just cast Day of Judgment. Yeah, I got it. There's also infinite wrath spells in standard, right? Day of the Black Sun, 0 Point Ballad, Scavenger Regent. There are infinite wrath spells in the standard format. I agree with you. It still is hard for you to interact with a turn 3 Ouroboros pump your team, right? So I am glad that green decks are kind of good again, because we've been missing that for a while. But I just caution them on creating more combos in a format that they think combo belongs in. But hey, if it's healthy, I'm for it.
Yeah, I think and we have the interaction tools. Like we have a ton of options.
Yeah.
So although actually are counter spells okay right now? Because I feel like of all the kinds of interactions, they're not bad. We have plenty of decent ones. I'm just trying to think of like, that argument of like, oh, just run counter spells. We're at a point where you just need to run board wipes,
Yeah.
Which, I mean, sure, okay. But yeah, I mean, like, what are the decent 2-mana counters right now? I know we have negate and
No more lies.
all the various quench.
Yeah. And blue white.
No more lies, quench,
Oh, no more
dispelling
lies,
exhale, essence scatter, annul.
Okay. No, you're right.
Disdainful stroke. You have a really large plethora of either forcing like pay 2, potentially pay 4, potentially pay 3, and a lot of different interactive colors. There is just a lot happening to answer that. I mean, granted, Cavernous Souls kind of neglects that, and we do have Mysterized Village, which I'm a big fan of, but it's only on that specific creature type. So there's still relevancy for them. And I mean, Caverns of Souls is rotating in 2027. And then, no more lies
until
with
they reprint it again later, right? Like
Foundations 2 Electric Boogaloo, yeah.
Foundation, I like Foundations. I'd be for that. I think Caverns is one of the cards that should honestly, it's one of the cards that should come in.
Cavern Souls is a card that they should just print into the ground. Because I remember when that card used to be like $100 value a piece. I mean, it isn't anymore, but I remember the original version of Cavern of Souls being infinite money, and even when they reprinted it into Lost Caverns of Ixalan, like I think that was your second most chase card in the set outside of trying to rip a Mana Crypt out of Collector Pack. And then they went and banned that card in Commander. But then, it's the best land that you can have that keeps control in check. So, like, when you have a format with infinite 2-mana counter spells that exist, you need Cavern of Souls to also exist. And I've seen more of this land being played in sideboards of decks than actual main deck, because Cavern of Souls doesn't make your mana base the greatest. And you might just need to sideboard this card in against control as your best answer for what they're doing.
Yeah, I think not a lot of people talk about the cost of this card, because people think, oh, when it gets, when you have this against control, they get stuffed for that one important spell that you need. Which, okay, sure, yeah, and that's great, but it's colorless. And if you're not in a typal deck, like if you're in a typal deck, sure, run 4 of them, go nuts, like name Elf or Bunny or whatever, and yeah, you'll be fine. But if you're not, the fact that it doesn't give any of your non-creature spells colored mana is a tremendous cost. Like there's a reason you don't run, more than one of these in decks that aren't, really heavy on type. And even then, in sideboard, like half the time you don't even want it in your main deck. If you're not going up against control. So yeah, I think the design, which actually really just bottom line, the design of this is just so clean. It's kind of perfect. Like I do, and I'm with you. If this gets reprinted into the ground, and is just a utility piece that everybody has access to, sweet. Like that's just good for competitive Magic. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right there with you.
What's great too, you can name Avatar on this card, and your Avatar Aang and your Progenitus and your Overlord of the Hamwoods are all uncounterable because they are all bringing balance.
A lot of avatars in Standard. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
It's an Avatar typal time. I'm telling you, this is Progenitus' time to come back.
Meanwhile, sad Overlord of the Baelmerk over here, like, I can't bring back any of them.
Actually, yeah.
I will say too, I do love that the control decks are seeing a little bit more love now, because they didn't really exist in the format. The primary control deck that you saw out there a couple months ago was probably Dimir, that was playing the mill side plan to win the game. But the Jeskai Revelation decks have been becoming a thing. Like before, you used to see like Jeskai Shiko, and that was like sort of a control deck, but it was focused around Shiko, giving you harmonized things back from the art or casting a card for free. Jeskai Revelation, being like a full-on win condition by itself, has been getting a lot better. Avatar did bring a lot of tools to Jeskai and or blue-white control. You've got like Aang's Iceberg, which is a flash banishing light, right? which is just good for 3 mana. You also have the land, Agna Kella. I'm probably mispronouncing that, so I apologize. But it is a Desolate Lighthouse, essentially reprint, right? In the sense that you can pay 3, tap, draw a card, discard a card. So just something for you to do with 4 mana end step rather than cast 3 steps ahead to draw cards at the end step. And this deck gets to play the full-on, stock up, consult the star charts. And if you really don't want to play any other creature outside of... If you want to play other creatures outside of Marrying River Regent, because that draws you cards too, Wan Shi Tong, probably the second most expensive card in Avatar: The Last Airbender. You're talking about Legendary Bird Spirit, Flash, draw you a bajillion cards, and it gets big and has Vigilance and Flying.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many things that you can just do with your mana on the end step, and Control has missed that for a long time. Before it's just, I need to hold up mana for this counter spell. Oh, I can't draw any cards. I'm going to have to cast my counter spell, my 3 steps ahead to draw and discard. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just cast cards that win you the game. And so I've seen some Jeskai decks playing like the Mill side plan with Riverturn Monument and playing the Jador, the land from Final Fantasy, as a different way to close out the game. I've seen them play a different multitude of Wrath spells, because like I said, we have infinite Wraths, right? You got Split Up, you got Day of Judgment. I think Ultima is the best one, given that Earthbending is the thing. It stops the Earthbending triggers from happening. So if you blow up a field of Badgermole Cub, they don't get any of those lands back that they Earthbended. Great. Love it. Yeah. So I love that Control is playable again, and we'll see how the format sort of ends out, because it's always what's going on in the format that lets the Control deck do its thing.
Yeah, and if you want a deeper dive on that, dear listener, and you didn't catch last week's episode, Damien really has been playing the Jeskai Revelation deck pretty hard for like the last couple months, and he was talking about some of these strategies, and he specifically called out Wan Shi Tong, or as he calls him, George, because
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, I've heard that.
My God,
it's a reach, but it's there. So he has Wan Shi Tong and the Grixis Azula in the sideboard. And so he plays creatureless in game 1, lets them sideboard out all their removal, and then brings those 2 creatures in for game 2, which is kind of a brilliant move. And yeah, sure enough, Wan Shi Tong apparently just freaking closes when he hits, which, yeah, I don't doubt it, because it's a gigantic vigilant bird that draws you a bunch of cards. Like, what's... Yeah.
And it doesn't even take that much investment, right, for Wan Shi Tong. Like, you stick 4 mana in, you get a 5/5 flying vigilance, draw 2 cards. Like, obviously you want to draw as many as you want, but at minimum, that's not a bad going rate for a 5/5 flying vigilance, flash, and draw 2 cards. And that's a 4-game clock. Like, that's a quick turnaround.
Well, and if you're going up against landfall, like the fact that they might even be they might crack a Fabled Passage, and even if you're dropping it down at 2, you then get to piggyback off of them searching their library, and that's so nuts. Like, fantastic.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I would encourage y'all to check out, if you haven't had a chance to see him play this deck. Ali Eldrazi has been playing different Jeskai Revelation builds for a while now. You're talking about version that you've probably seen on Arena the most is like the Jeskai Black deck that plays Inevitable Defeat. Ali has been playing a version utilizing Songcrafter Mage from Tarkir Dragonstorm, and also Firelord Azula in the main. So it truly is a 5-color controlled deck that utilizes Firelord Azula to make copies of Jeskai Revelation, which is incredible. Gross. And you get to play my favorite card in the deck is Ancient Cornucopia, because if you're going to cast a bunch of multicolored spells, why not gain life while doing it? And Doppelgang is in the sideboard, so my opinion is based. But there is,
of course it is.
There are tons of things that you can do right now in Standard. And see, we're all nice, hip, and giddy about what's going on in Standard right now, because literally a month ago, we couldn't say any of this. Nothing else was playable outside of really the Izzet deck. So it's...
Or Mono Red, because it had a good matchup. That was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the VV band definitely. I appreciate this is the impact, is that we get to actually have fun again, and actually experiment, which is cool. Downright delightful. So we've touched on Badger Mole Cub a number of times as a very powerful explosive card. And we talked about, as you were kind of going through all the different answers, talking about Ultima and whatnot, this card just keeps coming up. I don't necessarily want to talk about this card specifically, but I have a question for you guys that is Badger Mole Cub adjacent. I soapboxed a little bit on stream recently, and I want to see if my opinion lines up with your guys's. I'm of the opinion that Llanowar Elves is still is the kind of card that probably should not be in Standard. That said, I don't think it is too powerful for the current Standard. I think Standard is at a power level where Llanowar Elves fitting into it is a sign, at least for my tastes, that Standard is too powerful. Does that make sense? Do you guys have thoughts on that? Can you speak to that? I'm curious how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, so when they first previewed Llanowar Elves in Foundations, I think it was Kibler was like sounding the alarm bells, because he was like, this card has definitely got to be too strong for Standard. So you're talking over a year ago, right, when Foundations entered the format, and then it's going to be legal for 5 years. So like, I think the alarm bell was Llanowar Elf for 5 years. I mean, one, it's got to mean that they need to design around this card being legal when they're designing sets that are going to last in Standard a shorter amount of time than this actual card. But it immediately gets you thinking, right? What's the best thing you can do? What's the best 3-drop that you could play on turn 2? That was what the criteria was, right? So you're talking about like the Golgari decks that were playing Sentinel of the Nameless City on turn 2, because that was an incredible card, right? Or Preacher of the Schism on turn 2. Unholy Annex on turn 2. Those were things that you could do with Llanowar Elves. And then Edge of Eternities entered, and can you Nova Hellkite on turn 2? Because that seems very aggressive and very fun in a Gruul Shell. Now, Llanowar Elves joins the ranks of being the Badger Mole Cub assistant, in the sense that you can Llanowar Elves on 1, tap, play land, Badger Mole Cub on 2, tap for 2 mana, play other 2-drop. And it's only that Llanowar Elves that enables this.
Yeah.
Because the other 1-drop that exists in the format, the mana producer, is Gene Pollinator.
Yeah, Gene Pollinator and Molt Tender both exist as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Gene Pollinator makes you the mana if you play Gene Pollinator on 1 and Badger Mole Cub on 2, right? Because then you can tap the Badger Mole Cub and then tap for 2 mana, play another thing. But, which I guess is kind of the same thing. But Gene Pollinator does generate a mana of any color for you. But the fact that you have 8... Most of the time it's going to be 8 of these 1-drops, right?
Yeah.
That are in play that enable you to play then 2 2-drops. If your opponent does not interact with you, and you have a payoff spell, you are so far ahead in the game, right? Llanowar Elf being stronger than Gene Pollinator in this case because it can tap for mana on its own without having any condition, right? So then that means in the Badger Mole Cub scenario, you aren't trying to go 1 into 3. You are trying to go 1 into 4, which is why the Ouroboros turn is so explosive. You can also go 1 into 5, right? Let's say you play land 5-drop on turn 3. What's the strongest 5-drop that you can play post Badger Mole Cub?
We got some good ones.
There's lots. Yeah. So I don't know. They determined that Llanowar Elf was going to be safe for a 5-year Standard, or its legality in Standard for 5 years. Cards like Llanowar Elves only get better when you make more powerful tools for them to cast early. Otherwise, Elf, you all know when you draw Elf late game, the card does nothing, right?
Oh,
so it's only
terrible,
strong in the first 2 turns of the game or 3 turns in the game. It serves its purpose, and then you end up discarding it to hand
Like,
size or something, you know.
True.
It almost feels like a ley line, you know, where it's like if it's in your opening
Yeah.
hand, it's fantastic, and if it's not, pretty rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
There's a reason
I think that
like,
makes it fair though, right?
yeah, and there's a reason that cards like Llanowar Elf are like first picks in Cube sometimes, right?
Right.
Like when we get the Arena Cube or like Vintage Cube or whatever, if you can't get like a Mox, if you can go land Elf, you're golden the rest of your game. It's just that level of power early.
Yeah, in that situation, it's a way to just keep up with what everybody else is doing because fast mana is the norm. The thing in standard right now is like fast mana isn't necessarily the norm. Being able to ramp super fast is really just the parlance of green, but they're doing it very well. Although, come to think of it, I suppose that's pretty much the only reason green is starting to see play again. Is because out of all the things that green does, you know, like having big creatures, like a big sack of stats isn't really worth that much unless it buffs your entire team and can close the game in a turn or two, you know, and therefore Craterhoof and Broid are rock solid for what they're doing. But there's a reason that like Agnesar Rex or Vaultborn Tyrant, like while like they look good on paper, they're not really seeing play because like traditional green beatdown just doesn't really work. So I guess green just being the fast mana color, I guess that puts it on the map in a high power environment. So, okay, then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. No, Astros, go ahead.
Like, I would like to that point. Like, it's good. It's a kind of different approach for green because usually, in the past was like ramp into something big. Now it's more like aggressive. But at the same time, too, we have so many different tools that just answer that board state as well in a multitude of colors. I mean, red has fire, magic, pyroclasm. There's two alone. White has either its traditional 4 mana wipes or Pinnacle Star Cage or Split Up. Because if it's turn 1 Llanowar Elf into turn 2 Badger Cub, the land's going to be tapped, the Cub's going to be tapped, the Pollinator's going to be tapped. You're wiping out the board, the reset. Black has 0 Point Ballad. It has access to Day of the Black Sun. Creatures will lose the abilities. I mean, the lands will still Earthbend because that's a delayed trigger, but like there's access to there. Blue's got Aetherize. I mean, green doesn't have a board clear, but green's the one doing the stuff anyway, so what does that matter?
Yeah, green just races it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like we're at a point where they can develop the board state and it's strong to see, but there is also the plethora of answers to either combat it, stop it, or halt it, which is good because you need that check and balance. Otherwise, Llanowar Elf takes over format because it just accelerates you like a Soul Ring, not as quickly, but comparatively.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. So yeah, thanks for indulging me. I know Llanowar Elves being in standard is old news, but I find myself realizing that that's kind of a canary in the coal mine situation, and it's definitely a signal of what we have going on right now. And I feel like it's worth revisiting and worth chatting about, because the reason that I've taken a break from standard is not because it's in a bad place or it's unhealthy right now, because like you guys are saying, there is a good variety. It's just, it feels very high powered. Like it still feels like we're just in an incredibly high powered environment. And I liked low powered standard. I like getting to turn 6 fairly consistently. That was fun.
You miss getting doppelganged. Just say it.
I miss the ramp decks playing out Atraxa on turn 5, putting out hitting Herd Migration. Well, but here's the thing though, that domain deck that was a massive pain in everybody's ass that we hated so much, it was turn 5 Atraxa, pass. And then next turn, Herd Migration, swing with Atraxa, pass. And it was just, they didn't close immediately. They gave you the board wipe or bust turn. And the thing about that deck, I mean, I literally beat that deck often by simply hitting 2 or 3 board wipes and letting them deck out. That's usually, that was a legitimate plan against that deck. Because they didn't have the closing stopping power, and that was the biggest, sexiest thing you could do in standard at the time. So, do I miss that specific domain deck with, the 1-drop Leyline Binding and Up the Beanstalk being just absolutely ridiculous? No, I don't miss Up the Beanstalk. That card needs to just kick rocks and never come back. But, so I don't miss that specific deck, but when that was the most egregious, busted, stupid thing you could do, we're going deep into the game and we have a game happening. And I liked that. I liked when a game happened. The problem with that deck was it was super tedious. That was the thing. But that power level, yeah, I do miss that. Like, I feel like the red decks of the time were rocking like Phoenix Chick and Gadwick, which, by the way, fun fact, guys, still legal. Like, well, not Phoenix Chick, but like Gadwick is still legal.
Yeah, Godric is. Godric is too.
Godric, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, don't mind me. Yeah. I'm getting all my silly fantasy names mixed up. Godric was what I was thinking of. Godric Cloak Reveler. Yeah, there was a time when this was like one, this and I'm trying to think of the spirit from Neon Dynasty, Thundering Raiju. Like, do you guys remember?
Yeah, Raiju. Right.
Yeah, like the meta red deck was actually running that. Which what? Like, can you imagine? Raiju was sweet. It's a 4-mana 3/3 with haste, and that was like with upside to be sure. But like, could you imagine a 3/3 4-drop seeing play nowadays? Like, anyway,
yeah.
So that power level is absolutely what I miss, and and we're never going back. Like, and I know that the genie's out of the bottle, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It is what it is, and because in order for them to, in the past, when cards only existed for a maximum of 2 years, they could throttle the power down by having 2 or 3 low power sets kind of in a row, which probably weren't going to sell amazingly, but at least the average power level would just kind of slow down with rotations. And we're just at a point now with foundations and with the 3-year rotation schedule, there's no way, because if they printed enough low power sets to make a meaningful impact when a rotation happens, they have to have at least a year of sets that do not impact the current standard. And there is no world in which Wizards going to do that.
No.
Like, absolutely no way. So, so honestly, me taking this break from standard is me kind of grieving the low power standard, because it's never coming back. It's gone. I know, right?
I imagine Hamhawks right now. Put Hamhawk's face on Rose from the Titanic. And when Rose is shaking Jack, come back.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's exactly it. Oh my
That's
goodness.
him right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's me just shaking like a copy of like Divination. Like, please come back.
Come back.
Exactly. It's all I ever wanted. I just want to go back, man. Anyway, is that me being a boomer? Totally. But here we are. Yep. It's fine. It is what it is. And I will adjust and move on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I know other formats are going to fill in and fill that void. Like I saw a picture from the UK Pauper championship that apparently is going on this weekend. Yeah, and apparently that's actually like really popping off. So it's like, okay, sweet. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's a format that's seeing a lot of play and is getting massive adoption recognition, maybe that is would give me more the play experience that I'm looking for. Sweet, like let's go for it. I love Artisan. Like, I think standard Artisan would be such a fun format. For anyone who's not familiar, Artisan is a format that Wizards will throw out on Arena occasionally for events, like midweeks and stuff, where you're only allowed to use commons and uncommons. So you do still get some of those powerful designs. So it's like an upgraded, it's slightly upgraded from Pauper, but you still don't have any of the rares or mythics that are really defining most of the major formats. But yeah. Interesting stuff. But yeah, this has been a killer conversation, gentlemen. Thanks for kind of going with me as we kind of rambled all over the place. Any final thoughts before we bring this thing in for a landing?
Avatars brought balance to the meta. All is well. Rejoice.
Huzzah.
When are we getting the Legend of Korra Universes Beyond? I don't know.
Actually, though, that'd be sweet.
I'm sure they're going to look at sales numbers and make something happen. I'll be shocked if they don't. Yeah. They have the Nickelodeon lawyers on the phone, so I'm sure they'll figure it out. Yeah.
Hello.
Definitely.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. This was absolutely fantastic. And dear viewers, dear listeners, thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us. We'll be back next week to talk about more Magical Gatherings, and I have no doubt I'll be experimenting a little bit in Standard and hopefully find a deck that sparks joy. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah.
And Carlo will brag about being, ending in the top 250. I've no doubt that's
Maybe.
awesome.
Do it.
All right.
Do it, Carlo. Avenge me.
The dark side.
Excellent. All right, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.